What if it's possible that all the world, or all of life, is conspiring to shower you with blessings? It's one of the phrases that I've heard throughout my life somehow and often fought against, that the idea could even be plausible, much less possible. Join me today as we explore on Moments of Grace how you too might open yourself to experiencing life as showering you with blessings. Welcome. This is the very first show of Moments of Grace on Tambra TV, and I'm Tambra Harck. I'm thrilled to have this time with you. And I want to talk to you today about perhaps one of the most personally challenging things I've experienced in my life, and that is the idea that I somehow wasn't worthy of love, not even to be loved. And in the experience of imagining, believing that I wasn't lovable or worthy of love, I also believed that life couldn't even possibly shower me with blessings. And I read such things in books like The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho, and I have a piece of that here. He wrote, "Whoever you are, whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it." And I imagine that you might wonder too, could that be possible? Me? Could that be possible, that all the universe, all of life conspires to help you make possible what you most desire? And even what you just kind of desire. When I started to let phrases like this one in, I started to notice them everywhere. And I started to notice how in my own life, desire was just one piece of the way that life was conspiring to support me. That my life was filled with blessings from moment to moment to moment. And maybe you've practiced things like a gratitude journal, so you may have been touching on this as well. And yet I'm also talking about perhaps an outer layer of that, or a deeper layer of that. A way in which that life, like the existence of this miracle that we even exist, wants you to experience life as blessings. Now, sometimes when I talk about this, people say, yeah, but what about all the hardship in the world? What about all the horrors? What about all the, random acts of unkindness and the way that the world can cause problems, or that there's wars or fighting or riots or bullies or child abuse or kidnappings? Like, what about all that stuff? Or what about injuries or illness? And I imagine that when you're saying, what about, you're doing what I often did, which was look for symptoms of the ways that I wanted life to shower me with blessings, for the things I wanted to identify as blessings, rather than looking at where the blessings are all the time. Life is showering us with blessings. I live not very far from a place in Washington State that recently experienced a massive landslide. And by many graces, only a few people, relative to the billions that live on the planet, only a relative few people lived there. But those few people were deeply impacted. Many of them were instantly killed. Instantly. A few survived. Their lives have been forever touched by this moment in time. And yet within moments of it happening, I began to hear stories of the blessings that were showering upon the people whose lives were so shattered. Some of the blessings came from the emergency crews that showed up to rescue and recover. And some of the blessings were the experiences that the rescue crews had themselves. And some were the blessings that somebody left just in time to have missed the whole thing, or they were traveling and they delayed their time to come home. We hear these stories about every event, that there's moments that some grace happens. And when we can turn our attention to where the grace happens, we start to recognize that life truly is showering us with blessings. I invite you, as this day and perhaps this week unfolds, to look each day for where you were showered with blessings. And maybe you'll join me in a very private and joyous practice. I started a special journal sometime last year where I write about only the most wonderful, exquisite, joyous, life-affirming blessings I received throughout my life. So sometimes there were things that happened today, and sometimes there are things that happened 25 years ago or 40 years ago. And sometimes they're the most heartbreaking things that I write about, and I write about the blessing that lived in that. Sometimes they're the things that I experienced the most shame or disappointment with myself in. And in the writing, I find the blessings. When you do this, choose a journal you think is absolutely beautiful. You love the feel and the touch and the smell and the experience of having this book in your hands. The second is that when you sit to do it, take a moment and feel your breath. Perhaps feel yourself seated somewhere, knowing the earth is beneath you as she reaches up to hold you, as she always does. And feeling your breath, sense the space in your heart to open, to love, to compassion, to peace beyond understanding. And then as you open to the question, how have I experienced blessings? Life has showered me with blessings. Let me choose one. And simply just whatever one it is, like even if it seems like, oh, that's ridiculous, that's okay, that's the one. And simply begin to write it. And maybe it'll come out as drawings instead of words, and maybe it'll come out as a whole play, I don't know. But stay with the energy that the story brings you to, and with the blessings that life has showered upon you. So this is the first of what I hope to be very many moments of grace. Join me here every weekend for another episode. If you enjoyed this show, I really appreciate that you've been here with me. I ask you a few things. One is click like somewhere here, wherever it is that you found this video. And if there's something that you're experiencing as you've begun to look at life through the idea that it's showering you with blessings, will you share with me something about that experience? Appreciate that we are expanding our connections through conscious conversation. And the way I know that's happening is you have something to share. I look forward to our time together and send you my blessings. Until next time, be well.